tell him about the time we faced.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome everybody to the MCU DNT Plus podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
I'm Jason Cutter.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
Good stuff, lads. Good stuff. Good to be back again. Episode 3 for us. I think the last episode went down really well.
Yeah, that was a good one. We covered a lot on it. Got a lot of feedback from that one too. So we're making good progress with this.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get stuck straight into this week's sort of themes then. Where, as always, we're going to go over what we've been doing on the group. Jason, we're going to come to you in a moment for that. Jarian's going to update us on some news. We've got a big piece of news and a small piece of news for you guys. And then we're going to have a little look at some Loki theories. We've had a couple more episodes of Loki since our last podcast episode. And we're going to see if we can pick that apart a little bit. So, Jason, what's been happening on the groups this week? Is there anything that's been really prominent that's really stuck out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing that's really stood out the most, and I mean, I think the members love it so much, but I mean, I'm back. The band's over, so it gets back in, you know. We've had a lot of great stuff. With the podcast rolling, everybody's getting their theories in. We've had some amazing theories. We'll get to that when Jarian brings some of them up. Also, too, Andy, the contest that you had started, I believe we mentioned it. You briefly mentioned it last episode, but you got that nice and rolling. I mean, some of the talent in this group it's insane. I mean, artists and, molders, sculptors and crocheters. It's absolutely insane, the reach that some of these members have, and I love being able to see it and giving them a place to showcase it, so we got that rolling. That's going to be a fun one. And what did we say? What were the prizes for that?
So I've managed to get, and if anybody's watching us talk today, in the next episode behind me, rather than seeing my gym, you're going to see some awesome backdrops of some movie banners that a friend of mine has kindly sort of donated to us. But he's
That's
also
awesome.
it is awesome. They're going to look good. It's going to look really cool. I'm really excited to show you guys. But anyway, as far as the competition is concerned, this particular friend of mine, Tim, his name is, he owns his own firm. It's buying and selling movie posters. He ships them all over the world. But he's donated a Black Widow movie poster. It's quite a large movie poster, It's an authentic Black Widow movie poster. So that's one of the prizes. That's a physical prize that the guys get. They're also going to get to put the winner, the person who wins the competition, is going to get to put their art or their entry as our banner for a week.
That's right. Yeah, I convinced Grant. He's in for it. He thinks it's actually a great idea. So
I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
And of course, they get bragging rights. They get bragging rights on the group. They get they get to say I won. I'm number one. So we'll talk a little bit about that at the very end. I'll just say some of the entries and I'll go through what's going to happen there. I think the group's been really active. I'll tell you what I've really liked over the last 2 weeks not just the last 2 weeks, but what I've seen over the last 2 weeks is when we do get something on the group that is, let's just say, unsavory.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing to see so many members just go, hold on a moment.
Yep.
That's
the entire community comes together. It is. We don't have to, really enforce it or even do our jobs anymore. The members, they stick up for the group itself, which it makes me feel so good inside because it shows that this really is a home for them. They're proud of this group, just like we are.
Yep,
so it's amazing to see them, stand up and want to keep it nice and keep it clean. It's not just, a regular old meme group online where everybody's throwing dirty jokes and, being rude.
Keeping it clean with my language post yesterday.
That's going to be a tricky one for me. I'm trying.
A lot of people did you put their hands up and were like, yeah, I'm sorry. And I'm like, that's okay. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
A big thing I've noticed with this group versus other groups that I've been in is that when you ask a question, people start jumping on you. Well, go search the group, go read something, go Google it. Yeah, type of thing, which, people, it's, not everyone's fully into the comics. some people are MCU fans only. So I like when I see someone said, hey, go look at this comic number or this series of comics specifically. Yeah. That's more helpful than just saying, go Google it or go read a comic book. So
absolutely. And I mean, that plays into, that's the type of group we are. That's part of it with, discussions and helping these new fans and, newcomers come and, get into it, because as, veteran, comics and movie buffs like ourselves, half the fun of the MCU is relating it back to the comics and, storylines and characters and making that connection. So I want all these new people who aren't so much into comics, don't read them that much, to be able to have that fun too, And it's a big part why I like doing a lot of my character breakdown posts, for upcoming, characters who are going to be in the MCU. I'm going to start getting, now that I'm back, obviously I'm going to start doing a lot more of those. So it'll be good.
But just one more thing before we go on to news, just what you said there about relating it back to comics, but relating it back to real life as well. I think there was a post a couple of weeks ago that was asking if we can feel if anybody's sort of felt the same sort of emotions as Loki felt when he was watching, his mum pass away, and some of the sort of people laying things out there in the sort of
it got deep, absolutely
deep, and that was it's so nice that people can sort of share that in our group. And I guess there's distance there, isn't there? You're not sharing it with your best friend who lives next door or the person over the road, but you're sharing it with people who have got something in common with you. So I think they can kind of relate a little bit. So that's really good. Cool. All right. So there's been some good things going on in the group this week. And one last thing, we're up to, I think we're nearly at 14,000 members.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
As of today. Yeah.
Dude, in just over 3 months. That's insane.
Yeah, that's good. So let's go on for some news then. Jarian, what have we had this week?
Yeah, so it's the news cycle hasn't been as busy this week, but it seems like the past couple of days the news train got rolling. So the first piece is kind of breaking news that I just saw before we got on here. Was that it looks like they changed the post-credit scene of WandaVision. So it looks like they changed the scenery a little bit. Maybe they reshot some stuff. But the biggest thing, though, with that is it looks like someone is floating in the background. So is it Doctor Strange doing like a projection? Is it White Vision? Is it something with Wanda? But then they also, too, added a couple more things to the credits. So I don't know, just because after everything is starting to pick back up where they can film more in person, that they changed some things. Or they just decided they wanted to refix or readjust something or fix something from the original airing of the show. So I posted an article in the group about it, so you can go read about the whole information about the difference there.
Yeah, when you had just mentioned to us that right before we started airing here, my first thought was the whole story about the actual ending they were gonna have with Doctor Strange showing up. I wonder if they shot that. If they have any footage of that, and maybe that's a part of it, just the extra footage they had lying around, or if this is, like you said, if this is something they just, reshot now that, a lot of the COVID's being up so they can start getting back into person. That'd be really interesting to see how they, going back on that.
Yeah, maybe they're making a more stronger tie to Multiverse of Madness that's coming up soon with that scene, maybe. So we'll see.
Maybe they were waiting until Loki had aired to air this clip.
That's a good point too.
Didn't want to spoil Loki.
Yeah,
they might have been sort of retroactively putting a little bit of a Doctor Strange teaser in there after the response. The response to him being in it, or not being in it, should we say? Was
kind like you had, Andy, everyone, how you had mentioned before about the whole going backwards to go forwards. Standing out big time with this,
But everyone kind of when it was sort of came out that he was supposed to be, or not supposed to be in it, that he was going to be in it right until the end. It was a strong idea, one that they were almost went with. Everyone kind of went, oh, that would have been really cool, like. That's a shame. So it's almost like they've gone, well, okay, look, we can't put him in it now, but this is what we can do. We can do this. And if anybody of those eagle eye fans out there that might, spot it, that's a little nod just for you guys. Because we've seen now, as we've gone on in the MCU, we've seen Marvel Studios, they've definitely listened to fans.
Yep.
Oh, it's one of the biggest things why they succeed so much is, their interaction and the way they actually care.
100%. So Coming in. What's the other big bit of news? I don't think we really need to say it too much.
Yeah. So the biggest one was they dropped a new trailer for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But the biggest thing was that trailer. It was very random. You know, I understand the NBA playoffs are going on, so they kind of want the buzz around that. But they just dropped it out of nowhere. There was pretty much
came out the left field with that.
Yeah, there was no rumors, and they dropped it. And that trailer showed us a couple of things. You know, the biggest one is we saw Abomination, right?
Yes,
Abomination's back.
Well, I mean, an Abomination creature. We don't know if it's actually Blonsky or if it's
somebody
a new
else.
one. So,
yep, or it's an Abominite or whatever. But yeah, definitely saw what looked like Abomination fighting Wong. And so, what's Wong doing there now? The time frame of the movie is during post Infinity War before Endgame. So during that 5-year snap, was Wong out trying to make sure to protect things to fight in the tournament? Was he trying to make sure to see if he could get the 10 rings to protect it? But with Doctor Strange being snapped, who was watching the Sanctum, right? Because
that's like did you see the comment I just had under your post about that? I think it was yours, Jarian, where during that time period, obviously the duties of the Sanctum would have fallen onto Wong.
Exactly.
And so any type of mystical stuff, any type of magical happenings would have alerted him and he'd have to be a part of it. So perhaps that's why maybe he, felt that the 10 rings were being used and, brought up. So we went to, investigate it and either got caught up in it or, he has to go through the tournament in order to reach the rings or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe he kind of knew, maybe he had an inkling that Shang-Chi was going to be there and he was trying to recruit Shang-Chi? I don't know. That might be funny. Although I must say, I've got to just interject really quickly with something quite comical. Somebody on the group today said maybe he was there just to earn a quick buck. And then somebody then said, well, he couldn't even afford to buy a sandwich in Infinity War. Or was it a sandwich or a hot dog or something?
It was like a tuna melt or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Tuna melt, Well, it's like I said, he's got to get that content up for the Only Wizards page,
And the other thing too, it's like, if it's Abomination, what's Abomination doing there? Did Ross end in there? Is Val and Ross working together? Are they trying to recruit someone for Dark Avengers, Thunderbolts initiative type thing?
Exactly, because Abomination was supposed to be on the raft.
Exactly.
So what type of backdoor deals has Ross been making, putting pieces into play? There's some real chess game going on right now.
Yeah, I think we can hunt. I think we can almost guarantee that that's what's happening. I mean, there's no way that this is a coincidence. We're seeing all of these characters that are being introduced recently that are to do, that are related to the Thunderbolts and the Dark Avengers and that whole Dark Reign passage in the comics. And Val coming in and, we know a lot of these people are coming back. Taskmaster, obviously, coming up soon. I can't imagine it's anything but that. And I think, my personal opinion is Val and Ross are working together.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, too, the power vacuum with the snap happening and the Avengers.
That's my theory of why the Mandarin is even starting to make an appearance.
Just rewinding there a little bit. Jarian, you said it, and Jason, you've just literally just kind of said it as though everyone already knows this. Have I missed something? Is it definitely set in the 5 years?
I thought it was. I could be wrong, but I thought it was.
Yeah, I honestly can't quote anything at this second, but I'm pretty sure I've read some really reliable stuff that it's pretty confirmed it's within those 5 years.
Yeah, you both seem quite confident with that. I mean, I've not heard it, but that doesn't mean it's not true. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's that power shift, isn't there? Everyone's sort of eyeing for power in that time.
The world's in chaos. It's a perfect opportunity for
and the Avengers are stretched out.
Jump up.
Yeah, that's right. I think they've sent Abomination into that tournament either to not necessarily to recruit, maybe as a show of power, maybe or.
Actually, I mean, an idea on that too. We don't know the extent and what size and of the tournament it is. Maybe Ross put Abomination in there as his hand, as his fighter to try to reach the end game of it.
Yeah, potentially.
The other thing, too, it looks like Abomination has some changes to him, right? It looks like he has the fins over the ears, and also now he's wearing a loincloth, which I thought was a tail at first, but it looks like it's more of a loincloth now as I watch it many times. So, it looks like there's some adjustments, and Abomination is looking more comic book accurate now.
Well, I think they're going to go the route where, he's kind of evolved and gone through these changes, much the similar way that the Hulk has throughout the movies, So I think that's brilliant. I think he looks amazing from what I've seen so far.
So hear me out. because I don't know a great deal of Abomination from the comics myself.
Gotcha.
However, so obviously in the Incredible Hulk movie, we saw him and he was naked. Yeah,
Yep, no pants.
He was naked,
Yes.
no pants. So now we're assuming that he's got a loincloth on. Otherwise, there's something weird going on down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tail.
Yeah, a tail. Yeah, quote unquote a tail. But yeah, so we're assuming he's wearing a loincloth. He's obviously gained these fins / ears, whatever they are. So, and as you've just said, Jason, he's probably gone through some sort of evolution.
Do you think he grew
loincloth.
one?
No. So what I'm thinking is, if he's gone through an evolution physically, has he gone through an evolution mentally? Because why would he be wearing a loincloth? He wasn't bothered about wearing anything down there before. So
just like how we have Professor Hulk now.
This is what I'm saying. So has he grown a conscience now with that? So he's grown a conscience of himself, a bit of humility. Like, so does he want to wear something, on his bottom half now? Now, does that reflect anything that happened in the comics at any point? Like, was he just sort of this mindless beast and then progressed to have a conscience and have a personality? Or I don't know.
He was always very similar in terms of the Hulk along those lines, where he has gone through changes in the comics where he did get some type of intelligence here and there and stuff, but it was never to the point of like Professor Hulk style intelligence where he was that much aware. He was, for the majority, he was just a swinging fist. Yeah.
Right.
Now
Gotcha.
here's a thought too with his evolution, especially with the Finnish type ears. Did Ross have him maybe investigating some stuff in underwater? The whole disruption
literally
under
evolved.
Wakanda. Was he also looking for Namor and Atlantia, type of thing? So
or going at searching for the Protector. He's been shown in the film, underwater there. So
yeah, so that was something that I was going to bring up actually. My first instinct when I saw that was, Fing Fang Foom, but it was very, very quickly kind of not necessarily shot down, but I kind of done my own research, and as
they came out,
and as we've spoken about before, and as we're going to find out in a few weeks. Or I say a few weeks, maybe a few months, when we get Morgan on to talk about Marvel Legos, which I know Jason's busting for.
Speaking of Legos,
hey, me too.
Let's finish your thought here, and I'll show you something.
I meant Jarian's busting for. The toys have often been spoiler heavy. So I found that it wasn't Fing Fang Foom, it was the Great Protector that was under the water with him. So yeah, that's another little thing.
Unfortunately, they came out and confirmed right away Fing Fang Foom will not be in this film. Which I think is a good thing, because he's got such a history and such a story. He'd honestly need his own film alone to tell it right.
Well, it was kind of funny because Lego, once again, which I have the set here, if you can see it.
Put it over your chest.
Lego, once again. This is the set that has the dragon in it. And so Lego sets for Shang-Chi came out very early. And I remember when they first came out, like, oh no, there's no dragon. And then it's like, well, it's not Fing Fang Foom. And now we're seeing in the latest bit that now they're showing it is the Great Protector. So we saw him underwater. Maybe that's kind of his moment to where he kind of realizes his purpose after being gone and so forth. But yeah, nice little thing there with Legos. Lego's always dropping something to give us clues and hints about the movie lines.
Yeah.
Another thing too. Go ahead.
Go on, Jarian. You go.
Another thing too from the trailer, that same scene with Abomination and Wong, it looks like there's a shield in the background.
Yes, the one from, didn't we have this discussion back in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where and behind what's his name there?
I've got to hold my hand up to that one, because I remember you guys on our group going, "There's a shield there," and I was like, "There is not a shield there."
Yeah, we had to zoom in and kind of color it in for you.
You guys were all zooming in, outlining it. I was like, "You've just drawn it on there." Now, of course, we can see it. You've drawn it there, and now actually, you definitely can see a shield there. Now, whether that's on a poster, whether that's actually there, where it come from, whose it is, what does it mean? I don't know. But
I like the idea that maybe wherever it's being taken place is the same that where that shot in Falcon and Winter Soldier took place with. So,
and everyone's talking about it could be Madripoor, where the tournament.
Yes, Madripoor is huge. Yes, that's definitely going to be playing a part in Shang-Chi. Madripoor is a huge location for him. So.
And so speaking of Madripoor, we saw Razor Fist too. And the sword that he has, is kind of tied to Madripoor. It's tied to Logan. It's tied to Wolverine, Could they potentially tease Patch in this movie?
Like
I
you had
heard
said,
say
I
that.
think you had commented about
Yeah.
it, Jarian, about just literally just dropping the name patch. You know,
Yep.
you don't have to show them, don't have to go into, any real Easter eggs, just a little name
Yep.
drop in the background somewhere or written on a receipt or something, whatever.
Nice. I was just saying to you guys before we started airing, I've just started reading a bit of Masters of Kung Fu, and I've just got onto the story where they introduced Razor Fist. And if there was one comic costume that they shouldn't have put in the movies, it was Razor Fist's knee-high leather boots and his leotard. I'm not quite sure exactly. I'm not quite sure exactly what they were thinking when they designed him, but in the comics. But I'm glad that he don't look like that in this movie. So it was a little bit risque, I think.
There's another shot too that we saw in the trailer where it looks like they're going off to some mystical place, right? We saw like a backdrop of a mountain. It looks like there's some kind of entrance. This will be a good time in this movie to reintroduce or tease a new Iron Fist. There's history there with Shang-Chi. Also too, the place they could be fighting or going to in the movie, could it be Kunlun? Yes, Kunlun is typically in the Himalayas, up in the snow and that kind of stuff, but we know how Marvel likes to change things in the MCU to fit the story. So if it's not Kunlun, but still anything, this will be a good time to tease or reintroduce Iron Fist.
And honestly, I gotta throw this in there. Like, I honestly think Finn Jones needs a second chance with this.
Yep.
I think he would have made a great Danny Rand. It's just he didn't have much to work with. They rushed, the Iron Fist to Netflix way too fast to get into the group shot and stuff. So I like him. I think they can give him a second chance here with that.
Do you know what I'd like to do? I think we're going to need to move on in a minute, but I'll tell you what I'd really like to do actually is have an entire conversation. Maybe not yet. Let's wait for Loki to finish first. And then when we've got time, I think we're having an entire conversation, maybe even bringing in a guest about the Netflix series.
Yep.
Yes,
I think that might be a nice conversation. Actually,
I mean, I think we should, because they're starting to integrate into the main MCU. A lot of rumors about Daredevil being in Spider-Man.
So that might be a good conversation to have.
Well, also some of the reports too about everyone from Netflix is coming over except for Michael Coulter and Finn Jones. So
which blows my mind, because he was one of the spot on casts. I mean, amazing actor. He played the role to a T. Like, how can you get rid of that? So
yeah. No, that might be a good conversation to have actually. Right. Okay. So let's move on then. I think we've picked apart that Shang-Chi trailer quite nicely. Actually, let me rewind there slightly. When I say picked it apart, I don't think that was necessarily a review. And I think we said
no.
Yeah, and I think we said in episode 1, we don't just want to sit here and review programs. We want to discuss them a little bit and just have a little bit of an open conversation as three guys, and sharing the theories.
Nerding out.
Yeah, that's it. So it's not a review. We're not. Yeah, hopefully people can relate to that. So okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Right. Okay. So let's bust into some Loki. Okay, because we've had 2 episodes since we last spoke, or we last had a podcast episode. So first of all, just breaking it down really quickly, we had the episode where he started working out that this mysterious Loki variant was hiding in apocalypses.
Yep.
Then we found out that this Loki variant was a female, whether that is Lady Loki, whether that is Enchantress, whether it is a mix of both, whether it's someone completely different, it's still yet to be totally confirmed. Obviously, she sets off the time bombs. Yep. We've got a theory coming up on that in a moment. And then we go into the third episode, which was just almost like a buddy piece, wasn't it, of the two of them?
Absolutely. I mean, it was 100% a filler episode.
Yep.
But it was a filler episode done so perfectly. It wasn't just filler crap stuff. It fit so well. It moved the story along so great. And
I'll tell you what I felt about this, about the dialogue in that episode, in episode 3. Obviously not quite as edgy, but it kind of, and this is a bit of a bold statement potentially, but it kind of reminded me of the dialogue that you would get in a Tarantino film.
But
I
can totally feel that. I know what you mean by that. and I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at and obviously not necessarily the manner in which it was or the words that they were saying or the themes that they were talking about, but in the sort of relationship between the two characters, the
dynamic between them.
the dynamic,
building that
the two
rapport
of them
between each other. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you look at John Travolta, Samuel Jackson at the beginning of just look,
it was
like
you know,
any part of Pulp
they
Fiction,
were doing a dance with each other. You know, it was that back and forth, give and take. They found that rhythm between the characters, and it went so smoothly. You know?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, like I say, you take any particular part of Pulp Fiction, whether it's Jules and Vincent, or Bruce Willis's character, or Tim Roth and Lewis. No.
Oh yeah.
Or even Reservoir Dogs at the end with
Tim
Roth's character.
Yeah, I mean any like I say any Tarantino movie, and it had that. I kind of felt like it had those similar vibes, which is why I kind of enjoyed it.
It only just lacked some feet pics.
Yeah, or some feet jokes. Yeah.
Also, too, that episode was visually stunning too. The visuals in the episode were great. So we got a whole time. That.
You know, the background on Lamentus One is just everything about it was unbelievable. My jaw was dropped the whole time watching it. It was a film style, effects and stuff. It was amazing.
And you mentioned Lamentus One. Is that like an Easter egg to Annihilation Wave, to Fantastic Four, maybe?
Yeah, that could. That was my first thought when they popped up and I saw it on the screen there on the title card. I was like, oh, yeah. I was trying to draw those connections, but
it was it's a very lesser known planet. Apparently it's on the sort of outer edges of the Kree Empire. So I'm not too sure about that.
Another thing, I mean, I haven't really found anything on it yet, but probably going forward maybe it might lead to it. But the date that they went to Lamentus
2077.
27 set, yeah. Yep. So that might play a key role in something.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, Jason, because that's the point is everyone's like, well, why bother showing us that? Because it's now just exploded. Yeah, exactly. But it's exploded in 2077. Yep. We are currently at 2023 in the MCU. So actually, we've got sort of 40 or 50 years of history that we could touch on Lamentus One. So, I mean, we're not saying that it will. It really might be a throwaway planet that we don't really need to see again. But who knows?
The other thing, real quick about the Lamentus One too, is I mean, the wording itself, lament from Latin, the way that Loki was lamenting to Sylvie throughout the whole episode, so that was a nice little,
nice
Easter egg, I guess. Yeah,
nice touch. I like that. So as we did 2 weeks ago, after episode 1, we got some fan theories, or some member theories, should we say, actually, from the group. Yeah. And we read them out here and we sort of discussed them. So we'll do the same again. Like we said, we want that interaction between the podcast and the group. So here we go. So this theory is from Alex Stroud.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's the one. I think I posted that up on the Instagram and on the page as well. So nice. You guys can find it.
So Alex is now an MCU DNC Plus celebrity. Because he's done.
I made him an expert. He's shown a lot of knowledge, so
yes,
I gave him that title.
That's because he's only shown the knowledge because he's been on our quizzes.
Exactly.
Speaking of our quizzes,
here we go.
No. He was on my team. So last quiz, and during the downtime between questions, we were actually coming up with some pretty nice theories between myself, Alex.
I was talking to him. He was telling me about that as well earlier today.
Yeah, so that time right there, was great for the quizzes because we're just coming up with theories and discussions and bouncing things off each other. So that's the real fun thing of doing the quizzes. I wasn't going to go there where you think I'm going.
Hey, look, we'll just go there anyway. Your team won, didn't it, Jarian? Yeah. Right, okay, let's get into Alex's theory. So let's read Alex's theory out. So there is a little bit in this that has kind of been proved wrong in the last week from a trailer that we've seen of potentially Wednesday's episode, but we'll forgive Alex for that one. So here we go. The TVA variants are not only employees, but more or less prisoners by the TVA for causing Nexus events. They have been brainwashed, and Sylvie learned this by searching their minds. And she has never actually been to the TVA, which is the little bit that we think is probably wrong because we think we've seen a child version of Sylvie in the latest trailer. Yeah,
and honestly, the upcoming episode.
Yeah, so we'll come to that. Yeah, Sylvie has no intention of harming the variants and only wants to kill the timekeepers. No timekeepers, no sacred timeline, then the multiverse. She planned on throwing the sacred timeline into chaos at the end of episode 2, and then to infiltrate the TVA to find and kill the timekeepers with their forces dispersed across time. Loki will inform Mobius that he is a variant when he is eventually detained by the TVA, and he will discover the timekeepers aren't real and turn on the TVA, helping save Loki and Sylvie, who are to be killed, not reset. The real timekeeper is Miss Minutes, dictating the timeline and monitoring those in the TVA with future technology for Kang. Renslayer is in the know, and Miss Minutes was made by a council of Kangs, the original quote-unquote timekeepers. Our Loki wandered into this by mistake, but will befriend Sylvie, and together they will burn the TVA down by dismantling the system and then leave to travel the multiverse together. Oh, what a happy ending that was, Alex.
See, that I loved that theory there, because that got my brain going really well. And, you know, it made me think with Sylvie, what if her enchantment powers are the key to unlocking the variants' minds and, and exposing the timekeepers. And that's why she's not hunting the timekeepers. They originally were hunting her to get rid of her because they knew that her powers were the key. So now she's just basically getting revenge for them destroying her, timeline and stuff, trying to get at her. So, a little switch on the good guy, bad guy thing, like how, Andy, you had mentioned before, a big part of this is like how Loki even said it, not all good guys are good, not all bad guys are bad type of thing. So that's exactly where my brain went through with this.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've definitely 100%. We've got those vibes of who is bad, who is good. We don't know. We're like, hold on, are the timekeepers good or bad? Is Renslayer good or bad? Is Mobius good or bad? We just don't even know at the moment. We're
like with Renslayer, I think it's a whole intentions thing. I think she believes she's on the right side and that she's doing good, but Kang's just twisted her so much that she's blindly following it and winds up pretty much being bad through it.
So let's go back on that angle real quick. So let's add another angle to this. So we definitely see in a preview that we see what's probably most likely a young Sylvie at the TVA.
Yes.
So what if unknowingly they harness Sylvie's magic to originally mind wipe or enchant the people at the TVA?
Oh,
what was that purpose there?
Like harvest her stuff while she was young. And
exactly.
Like, did you just come up with that?
Yes, I just thought about this now. Like, why are they so young at the TVA? Yeah. Why are they so young at the TVA? And so that's one thing there. The other thing, I'm completely sure there's something sinister with Miss Minutes, right?
Yeah.
That interaction.
Well, they've, what's her name? The voice actress, Tara Strong, has come out and said there's a lot more to Miss Minutes' story, that they're going to explore. So.
Yeah, she even said it in a dialogue, didn't she? She said, "Oh,
yes,
I keep." What did she say? I keep the time stream in more ways than one, or something.
Yep.
Yeah, and also too, when he asked her, like, "Are you alive or are you just a recording?" and she's pretty a little bit of both.
Yep.
So there's definitely more going on with her.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing I caught interesting, the whole Ravana and Kang and Miss Minutes thing, is that I noticed this last episode, and even in the first episode. Yes, I know there's 3 timekeepers, so most likely there's always going to be one in the middle, but it kind of seems like at her desk or even when she's judging
the placement.
The placement, she's directly in front of the middle one all the time. And even
I believe the middle one is the female one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget the character's name, but
Ast, is it IST?
Yeah, something like that. I have no idea how to pronounce it.
No, I don't either. Monty keeps saying it in the group because everyone keeps going, "That's Kang," and he's like, "No, it's not. It's Ast."
But and even her office last episode, they zoom into her desk. She's in front of that middle one, and they zoom out from it. Now, is somehow that the only timekeeper left, and Miss Minutes is that timekeeper as an option possibility?
Ooh, maybe her, subconscious was placed into Miss Minutes.
Exactly. Or Or if there's no timekeepers left, and Miss Minutes is actually the one in charge, and we're gonna get a Wizard of Oz like moment.
I like that. Yeah, and I mean also too, my theory from the get-go is something is up with the timekeepers. I think somehow they're in like a comatose type of state, where they're not actually doing the work right now.
Yep.
So it's being hidden.
Have you guys seen Equilibrium with Christian Bale? Yeah. So
yes.
So it's a take on the on 1984. Yeah.
Yep.
Basically.
book. Yeah. So it's a take on that. And just for anybody that is listening or watching that hasn't seen Equilibrium, or maybe even for you guys that have forgotten a little bit, basically Christian Bale's character is an agent of an organization that keeps people from committing what they call thought crimes, which are crimes where people think freely. And think about things that are creative or anything like that. So it's basically a system of control to keep people in check. Christian Bale kind of, I won't go into it too much, but he basically sees the light and he decides to take down this organization. He breaks into the organization's building, fights his way through, gets to the man at the top, and it's all this kind of smoke and mirrors kind of, it was all a load of rubbish. Like the guy doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
I mean, he does, and I won't go into it now,
he doesn't. Yeah.
He does and he doesn't. But the point is that I think that is a pretty good structure, a structural guess for what we're going to see in Loki.
Absolutely.
In the timekeepers being that person.
Absolutely.
Sylvie
It has
Loki
a huge
being,
Big Brother type vibe to it, 100%.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they're sort of controlling,
and it plays into the Loki character as well. You know, that fighting against the power. You know, because he sees that whoever like before it was always Odin. You know, he saw Odin was just an iron fist type of ruler, and it's that rebellious type character. So it works smoothly along those lines.
Yeah, he's not a fan of authority, is he?
Exactly.
And I think that definitely plays throughout his whole history in the MCU, doesn't it? And everything that we've seen so far on screen, he's never liked anybody kind of telling him what to do. I mean, even if he looks like he does, he's there waiting to manipulate the situation, like he did with the Grand Master. It was almost like,
that's actually part of one of my kind of going forward here on why I think that Sylvie is more Enchantress, is because pretty much all Lokis want to destroy whoever's in charge, destroy the power, and replace it. And take that throne. Sylvie doesn't seem to want that. She just wants to destroy it. She just wants to get rid of the timekeepers, kill them all. She's not trying to take their spot and get that power. She's just trying to get rid of that power. So I mean, that's kind of one of my thinking on that.
My question is though, is she working with someone behind the scenes though, or is she working by herself?
I don't know. I mean, the way her chaotic storyline is going, I think it's more sporadic. I don't think there's much planned out with her.
I think she's working on her own. I think she seems too passionate and too free-spirited to be working with anybody.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even want to work.
I mean, what is it?
But there's a line from
rumors
last
going
episode
around about King Loki and stuff. Oh, actually, just jumping into that, I've got one of the theories from one of the members that plays right into that by Phoenix Swartz. He says, does anyone else think Loki is going to be loosely based on the Agent of Asgard comics?
Yep. That's what I was going
with
to
the
say.
Timekeepers being a stand-in for the one who sits above in the shadow. And he says, I'm getting similar feelings from the show as the comic, with here being, set in destiny and Loki rebelling against it. And I think that storyline would fit very, very well into the, where they're going with the Loki series. That same thing. And if there is, somebody in the shadows on Sylvie's end of things, it would only make sense to be King Loki. Yeah.
And
we don't know.
Richard E. Grant's character.
I was just about to say.
That's right. That's right. He's still in it. We haven't seen him yet.
Because there's a key thing that she said last episode when they're in that shack on Lamentus 1. This was in years. This plan was years in the making, right? Mm-hmm. So where did she get this knowledge of the TVA, how to disarm them, that kind of stuff? Did she plan this all by herself?
That's where I went into thinking that it was them hunting her from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, maybe they harnessed her powers while she was a child. And that's how she's gotten all this information, knows about them. I mean, because our Loki, and I'm sure all the other variant Lokis, have no idea that the timekeepers or these timeline TVAs even exist.
Yep.
So I think I'd like to break into just one last thing to just talk about before we close this episode off. But there's a few theories at the moment on how they're going to get out of this situation, or really what even is this situation. So there's been a couple of suggestions that is Sylvie
it a trick?
Yes, yeah. Is this Sylvie playing Loki, or is it potentially even Loki playing Sylvie? I mean, we did see Sylvie
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. We did see Sylvie try and enchant Loki, but it didn't work. And then Sylvie fell asleep on the train and woke up to this really weird situation.
Yeah,
so
I have questions.
Is that all? Yeah, I think there's.
I honestly, I don't
but
think that her enchantment worked on Loki.
I don't think either enchantment work. I think this is probably real, and I think they're just about
winging
to die.
it. Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I think they're just about to die, and I think Mobius is going to turn up, and they're going to take him back to the TVA.
But
That's
let's go back to
that's
episode 2.
go on,
preview
Jarian,
for the
go
next.
on.
Hold on, the preview for the next episode, it shows Sylvie with the collar on and in custody of the TVA.
Yeah,
so.
and there you go, and that's kind of why I think they probably won't bother with the enchanted thing. But I don't know. Go on, Jarian, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning of episode 2, right, where Loki explained duplication versus projection.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So that's like I said, Marvel never does anything on by accident. It's always on purpose. They had a big thing about him explaining the difference. So did he do any projecting during that time? Like, for example, does he still have
which we know Loki always does?
Yeah, the tempad, right? Was the broken tempad a projection, right? Or
and
duplication?
it actually wasn't broken.
Yeah, and then the weird thing was that whole sequence with the train was kind of weird, right? Why did Loki let down his guard, take his uniform off? They knew that uniform was their ticket onto the train.
Yes.
So I went back and watched this. Some things don't make sense. He's out of uniform. He's shown as a commoner. They go get the guards. He gets thrown off the train. The tempad's broken. But also, too, they got to that city where the Ark was very quickly for someone on foot who was supposed to be on a train getting there.
True.
So some of those things don't make sense. Then the whole thing where they get to the city and that power we haven't seen from Loki before, all of a sudden he sees that. Now, people think
that's what I love.
People think he stole an Infinity Stone, possibly the Time Stone. But my thinking is though, didn't they say those Time Stones the Infinity Stones are specific to the universes they came from? So how would he know which stone to take for which universe?
Then, I mean, Loki, if he would have used them right away as soon as he got out of the TVA. And also to Loki, everybody doesn't understand how powerful Loki actually is. I mean, there's a reason why Thor always feared him, and what he did and his plans and stuff, because he's an Asgard, he's a god, and he's a frost giant, and Frigga taught him all this magic and stuff. He is beyond powerful.
But I think they're not done with the stones now. Can they be done with them for a little while?
I think we're done with them. I think there's no more Infinity Stones going forward. But my whole thing, though, were some of those things projections to build more trust with Sylvie in that sequence.
I guarantee.
Like, for example, that rock falling and him pushing that back, was that a projection?
Yeah, that I could totally see him pulling.
I definitely think there's trickery going on both sides here to get one
to
to trust the other.
Even in the face of death in these last minute situations, Loki is still pulling these tricks 24/7.
Wouldn't that be quite funny if we're all sitting there going, yeah, it's Loki tricking Sylvie, and then there's the other half are going, no, it's Sylvie tricking Loki, and then actually what they're both doing is they're both trying to trick each other.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's what I love. I mean, I was talking with a member. Sorry, I forget his name. Who is it? RM something. But
RM Carr.
Yes. I was talking with him earlier. It's like, that's the best thing about this. That's what I love about the group too, is, we have all these crazy theories and these ideas, and we think we know what it is. And we go through and research on the comics and old movies and stuff. And then Marvel turns around and goes, we're going to do it this way, and completely blows out the water. And it's completely different from what we thought. And that's the fun part, because there's so many ways they can take these stories.
I just see here in the situation that Loki is scheming to get her caught so he can get close to the timekeepers, because that's his main goal, is to get to the timekeeper. So I think Loki's scheming this whole time. The whole thing about hiding apocalypses, that was pointed out for a big thing. So maybe it's not maybe it's not a projection, but there's just some scheming going on here, and he knows that Mobius will find them and bring them back if the temp pad is truly broken.
Yeah, I think that is what will happen in the end. I think Mobius will find them, and he will take them back, and we're going to see where. I
think that's when we'll see Kid Sylvie as well. I think they're going to do like a flashback thing while she's under arrest.
For some reason, though, I think Sylvie is kind of Hela-like in a way to me, because
I don't.
Well, because she tries something, it doesn't work out, she goes to violence. Yes, I know that Hela was more sinister, but I get a Hela-like
the type
vibe
of
from
violence.
her. Yeah,
I mean,
I still get a vibe from her though. I'm just like, could she be tied to Hela and maybe from some remnant of the Odin's and Hela's earlier conquest that we don't know about? Because they changed up Hela for the MCU, so Why not?
I think
throw another
when
curveball
it
in
comes to
here?
that, tying them two together, I think it goes back into their character and their intentions and
Yeah.
the type of violence. I mean, Sylvie doesn't seem vicious violent.
No, I was just
same
about
with
to say
how
that.
Loki is. He hurts people because he has to. It's a means to an end for them.
Although I do think Sylvie looks like she enjoys a fight.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And
But
that's
does
where I'm
Loki,
coming from.
Yeah, she almost
so
when
does
she
Loki.
was in the TVA, and she tried to enchant
Yeah.
that guard, and it didn't work.
She kind of had a smirk when she knew she had
She sort of went, "Oh, I've got to fight people now with my fists." Like,
We'll
and she
do
was
this
like,
the fun
"But-"
way.
That's
but
it.
also,
Yeah.
also think too though is that remember that Odin kind of manipulated and used Hela for a purpose until he didn't anymore. Then he sent her away. So is Sylvie being manipulated and used for a purpose, and then she got sent away as well? Another angle there, especially with the whole thing with the agents of Asgard and the one who controls or sits above, and possibly old King Loki being tied in here. So there's some.
I like the
things
idea
here.
of it that in Sylvie's timeline, she's Loki's daughter. I liked that a lot. Because I mean they kind of twisted that up with Hela. Hela's actually Loki's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah,
They made a sister. So they could pull another twist like that on here.
And she hated being called that name as well.
Yep.
Like she
Well,
hated
throughout the
being called
whole
Loki,
episode, she made it very clear. I am not you.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's 2 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if she was a Loki, like why would it? Well, I don't understand why it would matter why she would feel that strongly about not being called that.
Exactly.
Unless
Loki
someone,
is an arrogant by nature.
and if you see it in real life, don't you? So if someone's become estranged from a parent or a sibling, they're like, no, don't associate.
Don't want to
be,
don't want to be connected to them.
They might change their name, their surname to create distance between themselves and this person they don't want to be associated with. And it's like, no, my surname isn't Smith or whatever it might be.
Exactly.
No, don't associate me with that person. And it's almost like she doesn't want to be associated with Loki, not because she is Loki, just because she doesn't want to be
something
associated.
went awry. Yeah,
like she was.
Like what I'm thinking is
Loki.
maybe her father,
Jarian,
Loki, or his Loki is that maybe screwed her over and gave her to the TVA or something like that. And that's why she has that gripe with him.
Yep.
And I could totally see at the end of the series, our Loki making up to her and be like, listen, I'm sorry that your scumbag father Loki did this, but I'm not like that. Not all Lokis are the same or something.
Yeah, maybe she's estranged from old King Loki. He's the one that's truly behind the curtain of the TVA and did something.
Because in the comics, he was extremely evil.
Yeah,
because
he go back in
to
time too and change things. So
we've got to see Loki's. So this Loki that we're seeing is Avengers Loki.
Yes,
2012 Loki. So he hasn't gone through that whole character arc of what we saw in Dark World, of what we saw in Ragnarok, of what we saw in Infinity War. We've not.
Although I got to say, it does feel like it the way he's playing this character.
He caught up very quickly, didn't he? But I think we've got to see that redemption almost as well.
Absolutely.
So is that going to be his redemption?
But also think about this too. So maybe there was a timeline like we're seeing here, because remember the TVA got on Loki very quickly when he got away with the Tesseract, right?
Yeah,
So yes, there was like quick. So like they're waiting for him. So maybe there was a timeline where he did escape 2012. Remember, he said his purpose was to conquer conquer Midgard, conquer Asgard, conquer the 9 realms and the universe, right? So maybe there was a scenario where that happened.
That's it.
That's old King Loki. That's the one that's estranged from with Sylvie. And that's why the TVA was so quick to jump on him.
See, that was my theory from before we were introduced to Sylvie. Was I thought the variant they were hunting was going to be Loki who escaped that situation, and they reset time to try it again.
Yeah, nice. All right, look, lads. I think
one more thing before we go. One more thing though. So, Jason, you and I had a conversation last night when I talked about the way that Ravonna sits in front of the timekeepers and it's always that focus one. And you mentioned the exile. Timekeeper
and that new clip there. There was a 4th timekeeper. Well, I believe it was while they were time twisters. But there was a 4th one, and he was exiled to Egypt. And in the new clip, I haven't been able to find it on YouTube or anything, but on Instagram I found it, and it was in Spanish. But it shows a real quick flash of Mobius, driving through Egypt in the desert, and it shows the shadow of one of the sphinxes in the background. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong. One of Kang's personas was Ramal Tut.
Ramatut,
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And is
So
that
that's
who-
what I'm thinking. Maybe, Loki and Sylvie, figure it out somehow, and they're going to recruit him or get information from him to how to stop the timekeepers.
or
It's going to be real interesting.
or is he the secret analyst for Ravana?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even though I think it's Peggy because of the pin and Roosevelt and SSR.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That and and also too,
episode,
I'm thinking
but-
they're going to need him because if the rest of the timekeepers are comatose or inhabilitated for some reason, he's the only one left who has been in that position to correct all this, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. That is for sure.
Jacked up.
Right. Okay. I think we should round this one up now because these people have probably got to get back to work.
It's wild. This time flies by. It's
Hey,
amazing.
It does. Definitely.
We're closer to Black Widow as well. Just
Yes.
don't mess up
We are, and
Taskmaster. Please do Taskmaster justice.
And our next episode is going to be a preview for Black Widow. That's coming at you next.
Oh yeah. I
week
want to
on
explain
the
that real quick for them, Andy. How
we will do that in due course, but that's going to come out on the 5th
The 9th.
of July.
That was the 9th.
No, not Loki. No, not Loki. Our episode.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You want to explain it?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Right,
We're gonna do
okay,
the Black Widow preview. Then,
Yeah, we're gonna do a Black Widow preview. That's gonna be our next episode, a Black Widow preview, which is gonna come out on the 5th, and then we're also gonna do wrap up Loki, which will be our following episode, and we'll also do a Black Widow review as well.
Yes.
All right, so that's gonna all be coming at you in the next few weeks. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about Black Widow on our next episode, on our Black Widow special, really. But let's wrap this up today. Neither can I. So let's wrap this up then. So we've had a good discussion about Shang-Chi there. Really got into that trailer. I think we've picked that trailer apart really well today and really discussed that. That's been
covered that great.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. I enjoyed that. Some really good Loki theories from Alex and from you guys as well. Well done. So last thing just to do, is we've got as Jason mentioned at the top of the podcast, we've got the competition, the talent competition that we was running. We've had some great entries. We've had a group, just picking some out. We've had a group cake. Somebody made a group cake.
Yeah.
We've had some cross stitch and some knitting. We've had some fantastic drawings, some paintings. We've even had a track, like a song that's been produced.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that one
it's
either.
fantastic by Sebastian. It's been brilliant. You have to have a listen to it.
I didn't know he did that. That's cool.
It's really good. It's really good. But listen, so what we're going to do with those is there's going to be a new post on the group on Monday with all of those. It's going to be, it won't be a poll. I won't do it as a poll. We'll just do it as each entry as a comment. You're going to
we'll put it in the announcements top of the page.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah. But you hit your like on the entry, whichever one's got the most likes after our open poll period, our public vote period, will win the competition. We'll announce that on our next episode or episode 5 potentially.
And while you're voting on those, make sure to go like the page as well. Follow our page.
Yeah,
that's the MCU DNT Plus page, and also with me over on the Instagram, that's MCU_DT. And if you want more news on it, Raymark's got the Tumblr, for the MCU DNT Plus. So we got a lot of things for you guys to do.
Yeah,
Big
we've
shout
expanded.
out to Raymark.
Yeah, big shout out to Raymark for doing his Tumblr, his news fetch.
Our intern.
Yeah, our intern. I like it. One day he'll be up there. But yeah, so no, we've got some good stuff going on. And remember, guys, I don't know where these people are listening to this podcast, but you might be watching us on YouTube. You can get this podcast on iTunes, on Amazon Music, on Spotify, on
Andy hooked us up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're all over the place. So that's it from us from this episode, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've got some information, and it's going to spark a load of conversation on the group again the next 2 weeks. All right. So take care. We'll see you again.
Have a
See you
good
next
week.
Tuesday.
Why don't you tell them about the time we